How are you? Good to see you in this spiritual way. Let's talk about the law of attraction. You practice yoga, you hear about attracting whatever you need in life. And if you truly need it, and if you're tuned in, it will happen. Friends will come, money will come, transportation, a good place to live, a better world, not only for yourself, but for others. Yogis find life is one of, as you grow in yoga, you attract a more and more wonderful life and circumstances, or wonderful circumstances. So very often, as yogis develop, when we say yogis, we mean those who are developed in yoga, who have spiritual awakening. So we should perhaps say yoga seekers, sadhakas, those who practice yoga and are developing into yogis. So sadhakas, seekers, yoga practitioners, find they attract the job that is very good for them. Appropriate housing and a good car or whatever they need for transportation. And quite often they want to attract friends or even a mate if they haven't already found a good one. So they visualize the ideal companion and wait for him or her to appear. And if they stay in the harmony of body, mind, and spirit, very likely that person will appear because you're tuned in. But they forget to attract, to allow attraction to occur. They often do attraction practices, pray and open to their ideal friend that they're asking to come into their life. But then they go about their day quite unreceptive and unattuned. So that's a big mistake. That's just turning everything off. If you're going to attract, leave the attraction on. Perhaps we get sidetracked in anger or egocentric behavior, selfish behavior, cruel behavior, or we're petty or mean or contradictory, unaware of others' needs or rights and their feelings. We can really goof it up. We block and even repel what we say we want to attract. So that's a big point in this talk. If you want to attract it, don't repel it. If you want to attract someone or something better in your life, you need to maintain the attraction by remaining harmonious and attuned. And you should be in sympathy with what you seek. So don't spend the day doubting what you just wanted to attract, doubting that it'll happen. Don't repel it. Maintain your receptivity. Maintain this likeness that you're developing, this beautiful vibration with what you seek. Be the person who would be appreciated by your ideal friend. Be that person. If you want to attract an ideal friend, make yourself capable of having an ideal friend. Be the person who would do well in the new job or with the larger salary. What are you going to do with it? So we'll end on this note of attraction, but now this leads us into a new area, another important point about friends and belonging. It's called subtle communication. Your energy field around your body, called the aura, which you can often see when you develop spiritual sight or meditate a lot. You get to see there is light surrounding everybody. Bright light around some, softer light around others. Larger light, the human aura. Now and then you'll be aware of your aura. After meditation, you've probably got a big, beautiful aura, for example. Also, subtle communication, which attracts your life force, your prana, is part of energy that's broadcasting outward from you. Also, your spirit is broadcasting. So we are shining this light and energy out from us, which most people can't see, but a lot of people can. Those who take up the mystical or spiritual path can often know a lot about you just by looking at the energy field around you. I knew a man who was a mystical leader, and he had to kind of close his eyes to read your aura, so he would shake your hand and then cover his eyes while he's shaking your hand, and he'd be busy reading your aura. So you'd see him go down the line, shaking hand, covering his eyes, shaking hand. Oh, there are some very interesting people on the mystic path, you know. But in terms of attraction, it has a lot to do with your subtle communication. Whether people love to be with you or what's wrong with that person. We haven't said a word, but I just want to be away from that person. We're subtly communicating, and this has a lot to do with how we're able to attract. Our aura, our life force, and our spirit are communicating. They're shining out. And that's very important to understand in terms of being able to attract a friend. What are you broadcasting? Your thoughts and feelings are part of your aura. You're broadcasting. You're a broadcaster. People and friends in general are often broadcasting to all who will notice and listen. And even if we don't notice, we may be aware of it we don't know what's going on, but we sense the broadcast at some level. Because we're capable of it, even if we haven't trained in seeing auras, for example. When your friend is loving, kind, and cheerful, and caring and wise and aware of other people, or in a devoted mood, your friend is broadcasting that. And your friend is basically broadcasting, right now I'm attuned with my soul and spirit. Consciously or unconsciously, I'm tuned in. My true self is coming through here. And you get a sense to sense this beautiful self of this person. They talk about charisma. This is the broadcast that's going on. A broadcast is happening. Charisma. As a friend, and you're sensing this beautiful broadcast, if you wish, get to know this person. They're possibly a wonderful friend. Enjoy and appreciate this person. Encourage and reinforce this person. Remember this aspect of this person. Help this friend feel loved and natural and comfortable in this expression. Welcome their light. So let's just take a moment to consider a friend and just say to ourselves, I'm going to strive to be sensitive to this person's broadcast. What they're thinking and feeling, and their energy field, the life and health, and the spirit that is moving in them, keeping them alive, keeping their breath going, their heart beating, keeping them conscious. I'm going to try to just be sensitive to this person's broadcast and get to know them better. You might want to just call it their energy. That's fine. But it can be received as color, and colors have meanings, and on and on. So now just think of a person you choose, a friend, and say, what is this friend broadcasting? What is coming to me in terms of energy, in terms of spirit, in terms of life force? What do I receive? What am I aware of regarding my friend? And just strive to get used to noticing people's broadcast. Very good. Take time and do this for 10, 15 minutes. And down the road, you'll be good at receiving high-level broadcasts. All right, and you could choose, it's really fun to get into this and work with several people. What are they broadcasting? When a friend is broadcasting wellness, soul, and spirit, you've got to watch out, because your ego may wish to be that wonderful, to have that wonderful broadcast going on. So you might go into ego and be jealous or resentful. That happens when we're still working through our adolescence in ego. Adolescence can be a whole lifetime of just being stuck in a self-centered mode of life. It's natural for ego to want to sabotage when you're getting a good broadcast. So when that starts to happen, if it does, switch to appreciating this person and this beautiful broadcast as soon and as well as you can. When you're in a mystical group, you just look across the room and there are people with these gorgeous, gorgeous auras and energy fields. And you just learn to accept that people are shining. My first experience with seeing an aura was a halo. I went to a mystical group. I was in it, and it was my first chance to go there and meet some mystics. I couldn't find the building, so being a reporter, I just found it easy. Just phone the police and ask, where's this building? So I phoned the police. Oh, it's in back of such and such. And so I went there, but because of not finding the building, I was late. So I open this big door and step in, and there is a lady in a robe with a halo, and then soft light all around her. She was my first experience of seeing an aura. And then, of course, an official of the group said, you can't come in, you can't come in. And he sent me out and closed the door firmly. And I sat out there on a garbage can that was lying down, waiting for something to happen. Anyway, I understood that halos are parts of the aura, and they're not just painters deciding to make people look like saints. This energy field that we broadcast all the time can be seen like a halo. And it's a gorgeous sight. Halos exist. They're the top of the aura. And they're wondrous. It was just a big... Later on, they said, oh, you're one of us. Come on in. And they fed me and introduced me, and I got to meet some fantastic friends that night. But I also saw my first aura. And I saw my first halo, not even knowing they existed. And they exist. Amazing. Anyway, I wonder, do you think you're broadcasting a halo? Probably. Anyway, if you're envious of someone else's aura and energy, switch to appreciating them. They've gone through a lot to have that beautiful aura. Appreciate as soon and as well as you can. This is an excellent person. But of course, in all our trips in life, our ego is always saying, but what about me? Now you've heard this. Now you want a halo and you want it to be bright. That's an what about me reaction. The ego is saying this. So I'd like you to consider, what are you broadcasting? You're broadcasting health, energy, life force, a wonderful concept of life, a wonderful feeling of life. What are you broadcasting? And it's probably expressing as light, subtle light that could be seen by experts at auras. So just be aware that as you sit there right now, you are broadcasting. Just try to sense, what are you broadcasting? Let's just do what we can with this question. What am I broadcasting? Just in being and living in my present state. What am I broadcasting? And notice how you do this after meditation too. After you meditate, you're sending out your best broadcasts. So you see, since you're broadcasting so much, how this law of attraction works. It has a lot to do with what you're broadcasting, whether you can attract into your life dear friends and financial prosperity and whatever else is part of your dream of a good life. Okay. But if your friend is broadcasting, they've had a bad week or something, if your friend is broadcasting anger or anxiety, troubles, stubbornness, jealousy, what do you do then? What a surprise. Last week you were broadcasting this, now you're broadcasting trouble, anger at humanity perhaps, at life. What do you do then? You tune in with their soul. You tune in with your soul, and from love and compassion, you help them find their soul. You just can be a good friend to this person. Broadcast from your soul. If the friend is saying, I'm suffering or I'm lost, love the friend. Attune with your soul. Attune with his or her soul. Instead of wielding your ego, let your soul guide you. How can I help this person? They're such a beautiful soul, but they're in the pits right now. What do they need? Do they need a hug? Ask your soul. Do you need space? Should I say something? Should I say nothing? Sense what to do. Ask your soul. Ask your inner consciousness, even if you don't know your soul yet. Ask your inner consciousness. Be calm. How can I help? A hug, a touch on the shoulder. What to say? Don't say anything. Give them space. Learn how to best be a friend through these tough times. If you're always, what should we say, presuming to know what to do, you could irritate them. If your ego's in charge of deciding what to do, you'll probably offend them and lose your friend or create a distance. You need to turn to your soul, which is connected to his or her soul, And in that connection, figure out what to do to help. So I'd like you to consider, if you had a friend who is in a negative state, notice what it is, sense your soul, sense their soul, and in that connection, ask your soul what you can do to help. So I'd like you to try this process, just get the process down. Let's say your friend is not necessarily right now in a bad place, but if they were, hypothetically, oh, you notice they're suffering, there's a problem, they're down. Turn to your soul, it's connected with their soul, and sense what your soul would guide you to do to help this friend who's in trouble or having a troubled consciousness. Take a minute or two. Get to know this process. You'll be able to be a wonderful friend when people are happy and when they're down also. Do you find it hard to come back when you're way in there? I do. But I'm trying to do my best to give this talk. But one of the beautiful things you find as you grow in yoga, it's so easy to let your consciousness go inside and get absorbed in spirit. So easy. Okay. Remember this regarding your friend and where your friend's at. No matter how much you love spirit and center in your soul, it's up to your friend and the grace of God, whether they choose spirit and soul or not, or they choose to spend more time in their ego than in their soul. It's their choice, not yours. You seek from your soul advice in how to be of help. It's their choice, not yours. You have the right to make your choices. They have the right to make their choices and the duty to make their choices. But through yoga, you gain more and more love, wisdom, and insight. Your broadcasts are better. You attract more what you need into your life. What do you do when you lose a friend? That's another part. Or what do you do when your friend betrays you? So you know something about yoga and spirit. What do you do? What can you do? There's a great deal you can do. But first, you go in to God and soul. You turn to spirit and soul. You need to be comforted and consoled. And spirit will comfort and console you. You clearly see the loss or betrayal only occurred in the outer relative world, where people seem to be so separate entities. And to an extent they are. But you know something better also. You can go to a place of peace. You surrender, let go of the waves of consciousness that are stirring and storming, the waves of grief and frustration and hurt. You can view your mind and heart becoming calm and clear. You can enter the buddhi, the calm, goodwill witness you have clearly there. In this calm, serene place, you can see the meaning and truths of the breakup. You can receive the life lesson and the blessings that you've learned in the relationship. And you can have an inner healing. It's important to receive these inner healings from all your past broken-hearted losses and betrayals. It's important they be healed if they're still hurting. Are they still hurting? It's important they be healed. Go to soul and God. Further, there's another important point here, and it's part of why attraction works. You are already connected to the other soul and all the other souls. There's a state you go into after witnessing clearly. This witness consciousness becomes Mahat, M-A-H-A-T, awareness that you're also within all the other lives. You are within them. At this level of consciousness, it's called the Great Soul. Mahat means great. You can partially or fully discover you've always been, always will be, at one with, a part of that person, a part of that soul personality. And that the separation from that person is only in the outer world, not in the inner world. You share Mahat, you share the same great, vast soul. You can realize this great soul to the point of consolation and a potential fond occurrence. A fondness comes. Letting go, saying farewell, but you're still fond of that person. And this separation from that person is only a brief lifetime because you're actually connected. And the connection is very positive with all the souls. So if you have a problem with a wounded heart, this process is very helpful. And it helps you also to become a better broadcaster, because you may be broadcasting the betrayal or the pain all the time, and that life is no good, or something's rotten in the state of Denmark. Denmark, wonderful place, beautiful. So I'd like you to just consider the Mahat possibility when you're hurting in a relationship. Okay. Further, as you become spiritually aware and discover you're naturally a friend of humanity because of this close soul connection, guess what? You'll broadcast it, and you'll attract many friends. Just learning about Mahat, learning through forgiving, letting go, through healing. Mahat is a wonderful broadcast, that we are one, that we are sharing life together, all of us. We're one. There are no strangers. You know you're part of them, and they are part of you. All people. You get to this Mahat state, you will never be lonely again, because you're going to live in the companionship of God, the creator of all people. So, that's a lot to cover, but hopefully it's very helpful. Remember, yogis become God's companions and find they are never lonely. And in this awareness, in this state of consciousness, and in this broadcasting that you do, you will attract wonderful, true friends. God bless you.